Hey everybody, it's Wayne. Welcome back for another weekly wheel and other options update. Today, we're going to focus on Google, specifically a covered call that has gotten away from me. Let's go ahead and start with my current position. And you can see I currently own 200 shares of Google. My cost basis is $110.26. And currently the share price of Google is $122.54. This is a good thing because right now I have an unrealized gain of 11%, or about $2,500. Here's the problem. I have entered into two covered call contracts in which I have entered these contracts with a strike price well below my cost basis. So I own 200 shares. I paid $110 per, yet I have a contract, one of which expires today, in which I am agreeing to sell my 100 shares at a $99 strike price. Well, if you look at the current share price of $122, that means with certainty by the end of market close today, these 100 shares are going to be called away. So how did I get myself into this dilemma? What am I going to do? Because I do have the option of rolling this position. And I'll just say this. I think everybody out there realizes if you're selling options, of course, you want to sell covered calls above your cost basis. What happened with me was when I purchased these 200 shares last summer, over the months, Google had a significant downturn, and unfortunately, the share price dropped well below. I was bag holding for quite a few months. And of course, due to my impatience, I wanted to generate covered call premiums, and so I decided to make the mistake of selling covered calls below my cost basis. Now, I've done it before, and I'm going to be honest, I'll probably do it again on a different position. But I'm here to kind of bring you transparency. I'm either going to have to pay money back to close out this contract. I can try to roll this position to a further date, which I would equate to really just being the equivalent of kicking the can down the road. I'm going to have the same problem weeks, maybe months, maybe even a year out. So let's go ahead and first explore all the premium that I've made in 2022 and 2023. And that's really important because when you are going to sell covered calls, whether it's above or below your cost basis, you want to make sure that you're keeping track of all the premium that you earn. So let's go ahead and take a look here at 2023. Now remember, I've owned Google since last year. I've been actively selling covered calls. And so if we look at all the premium that I've earned up until today's date, that total is $605. So that means no matter what happens today, that $605 of premium that I made in 2023 is mine to keep, and I am going to factor that in with my total cost basis. Let's go and take a look here at 2022. Remember, I've been keeping track of all of my covered calls, all of my cash secured puts, dating back to the very, very first transaction. And you can see here, when I purchased those shares back in 2022, specifically July, I have been selling covered calls for the remainder of 2022. So if you look at my total of covered calls that I've sold in 2022, the total premium that I earned in 2022 was $844. Let's go ahead and keep track of those numbers. So 2023, I've earned $605. 2022, I've earned $844. That's a total of $1,449. So keeping track of the premium that I've earned for 2022 and 2023 is important because that $1,449 does play a role in what my total loss will be if I allow these 100 shares to be called away. So let's go ahead and start with my cost basis, which is $110.26. And I'm going to go ahead and minus that $99 strike price. And if we multiply that by the 100 shares that are going to be called away, that means today, if I do nothing and I let the contract expire, I am going to take a loss, a capital loss of $1,126. And so you can see why math begins to play an important role, because now I'm like, well, wait a minute. Of course it sucks to take a loss on any position. And of course it hurts even more that I made the stupid decision to sell covered calls below my cost basis. But if I've been keeping track of all of my previous transactions, and I know that I've earned up until today $1,449, that means that yes, I would take a loss of $1,100 on the capital appreciation or depreciation. But overall, for these 100 shares, I still come out $300 plus. And so this is the dilemma that I have. Do I allow these shares to be called away? And if you look at the totality of the covered calls that I wrote in 2022 and 2023, and let's say Google paid a dividend, which they don't, maybe I would even factor that in. So this is why it's really important to kind of keep track of everything, but also I need to make a decision. Now, one of the things that I like to do, and you guys have seen this on previous videos, is I like to roll my positions, right? And when you roll a position, you hope to get a better strike price, you hope to earn net positive premium. So let's go ahead and take this contract. And again, this is the contract that expires today on the 23rd. You guys can see the strike price is $99. Again, June 23rd it expires. Let's go ahead and see if I can roll this position. And I can tell you right now, having done some research prior to the video, I wouldn't even be able to earn net positive premium. And where we get this number here is on the right-hand side that I'm circling. Right now, when I am going to roll this position, the first leg of that transaction is buying to close the current contract, which is worth $2,360. So that means if I'm looking to gain net positive premium on this transaction, about the earliest that I would be able to roll this position for a better strike price, and by the way, it's not that better, right? We go from a 99 strike to a 100 strike. So yes, I did go up $100 in the overall capital appreciation. I do presumably earn, give or take $10 or so. You guys can see that this contract price is fluctuating. Let's go ahead and go out one more week to make it official. And again, we're gonna go all the way down to the 100 strike price. This for sure would get me net positive premium, about $20 or so. But here's the problem, is it's rolling it out several months, which means I remain on the sidelines. And yes, I essentially do preserve an extra $100 of capital appreciation. But one of the frustrating things about selling covered calls and when you roll out your positions is being on the sidelines for several months, maybe even a year, maybe even longer. So I need to make a decision. By rolling this position, yes, I would earn, let's say, an extra $20 in premium. And then you go ahead and say, all right, he's going to earn another $100 if these shares are going to be inevitably called away. And then I go back to, I could still have these shares called away. Remember, when those shares are called away, that means that my account, right, those 100 shares are debited, but I'm credited with the $9,990. So that's kind of like, all right, you know, I'm going to have that $10,000 immediately deposited back into my account. What could I do with that $10,000? If Google were to go further down in share price a couple of months from now, I would be able to buy back in, hopefully for a better share price than what was my cost basis of what, $110.26. Maybe Google goes back down to $100 per share. And if we scroll back up, that's not entirely impossible to imagine. In fact, Google was as low as $83.43 in November of 2022. This, by the way, was the reason I was selling covered calls below my cost basis, because I wasn't able to generate anything in the form of premium if I was sticking to selling covered calls at the 110 or higher price. Let's go and take a look here at February. So just a few months ago, Google was as low as $89. And of course, we see the incredible run up they've had over the last couple of months, and that's why I've gotten myself into this position. So I can tell you right now, I am going to allow my shares to be called away. And it does suck to take a capital loss on the overall transaction for these 100 shares. But what it does allow me to do is receive that $9,900. I would take that cash, it would be in my account, and now I can write cash secured puts on other stocks. I can take that $10,000 and perhaps invest in another stock that I would be able to turn around and sell covered calls. So there's a lot that I'm going to be able to do. But what I am going to do is be transparent with you about the overall transaction. And again, heed the warning that when you sell covered calls below your cost basis, you know, right now I'm getting smacked for about $1,100. I have been in way worse positions, specifically with Tesla, in which I could presumably take a loss of thousands of dollars, right? Not $1,100, but thousands of dollars. And so, again, I'm not new to the game of selling options, but I certainly know better, and this is going to be a learning lesson for me to remember for quite some time, and I hope you guys found some value in this transparency. And of course, if you guys are confused, because again, this is a rather complicated topic. If you are new to selling options, I'll end with this. Make sure that you're selling above your cost basis, and you can never go wrong in the world of selling covered calls. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys are subscribing and liking and asking any questions that you may have, and we'll see you on the next one.